my virtual yoga studio here on YouTube. My name is Laura Tara Davy Joplin, and the filming of this entire practice is predicated on whether or not this guy knocks over or doesn't knock over my very professional, not at all a coffee mug set up on a table with a ring light behind it filming setup. But so grateful to be here with you. I am a yoga and meditation teacher based in and around Atlanta and on the internet in various ways. In addition to teaching yoga, I also host a podcast called Awareness Offerings, Yoga Philosophy Guided Meditation Podcast. I am training to become a psychotherapist, and my day job, if you will, is social media strategy, where I work to bring these teachings and practices like the ones we're going to embody today into the wild digital world, and it only gets wilder by the minute. So I'm really glad that you're using some of your digital energy and attention to do some practice. We're going to practice today. So we're going to do a centering flow. Probably about half an hour is what I'm going for. We'll see. But essentially, we're going to move right and left in a few different ways. And when we move our body right and left, that gets the two sides of the brain, right and left, communicating with each other. And not only does that evoke just a more whole self, all systems firing, all cells engaged way of being present and being with ourselves and being in the world, but it also centers our nervous system. It makes our nervous system feel settled and centered and whole when we're moving right to left and essentially balancing. Because that's what right and left evokes, is balance and center. So we're going to use those concepts to perhaps find some center in the body. The physical body is one of the tools and landscapes of yoga practice, but according to classical yoga, it is not the only landscape, it's the container. And when we find and explore these energies, concepts, realities in our body, it sometimes becomes a pathway to exploring these concepts in the realm of our nervous system, the realm of the mind, the heart, even more spiritual and energetic realms. So I'm offering centering. I hope that you receive it on whatever level that you want and need it. And please know that you can customize anything about this practice. Any suggestion I make is a suggestion. So you can do something, you can choose not to do something. You can change it, you can dial it up, you can dial it down. It's all correct here. So you might gather whatever supports you use to practice. You might be on a mat or not. You might grab yoga blocks, a blanket, a strap. You don't need any of those things specifically for this practice, but they could be helpful, right? Already using your knowledge of the customization you need to set up for your practice. And once you set up, we'll go for it. We'll start in, actually, I almost said a comfortable seated position, but that is not correct. That's where we start a lot of the times in the classes that I'm teaching, but we're actually gonna start belly down. So you'll bring the front of your body to the earth with whatever and as many steps as you need. Starting here, let's fold the forearms or hands one on top of the other, and then you could rest your chin or your forehead, whatever is more comfortable and supportive, on this little pillow that you made. Then you might widen your feet and turn your toes out toward the outer edges of your mat or whatever surface you're practicing on. This might invite the front of your hips, front of your body to relax more to the earth. And that's where we are, and that's where we're starting. Belly and heart to the earth. A grounded posture and a place for us to center and arrive for this practice. You might have closed eyes or a soft gaze here. You might be purposefully noticing how your breath feels or not. But we do have the extra layer of feedback with the ground underneath us up against the body. So you might start to feel that kind of visceral, tangible expansion of the belly on the inhale. And then a contraction as the belly comes up away from the earth on the exhale. And right now, there's nothing else you have to do but witness that, if that's a supportive practice for you. We might change the breath in a bit, but first, we'll just notice it as a present moment phenomenon that can help us walk ourselves into the present moment. I'm filming this practice right at the start of the holiday season, and so all these tools for centering have been featured pretty heavily in my teaching and my practices lately, because it's a time where we try to what's the best word? We try to make room for a whole lot of stuff in a time where, like, the sort of natural rhythm of things is letting go, right? The leaves are falling, animals are hibernating, rest is the rhythm, and we try to do the opposite of that. So centering can be really necessary, but it's also, especially in the world we're living in now, a helpful practice regardless of what time of year you're watching this. So as we center on the breath, we might start to practice intentionally with the breath. Might being the operative word. We might take some crocodile breaths here. To do that, we would inhale with some power, purposefully expanding the front of the body a good bit against the earth. Then exhale with some power, squeezing a little at the center, at the belly, and releasing. Powerful belly down breath. You might join me in that for a few rounds. Looks like my cat Zen is also joining me. Maybe one more purposeful breath in. And an exhale. And you can release your arms down by the sides of your torso, right next to your torso, with the backs of your hands on the ground. Then you might walk your legs in so they're more hip distance apart, and you can press the tops of your feet firmly into the ground, so much that your kneecaps lift. Strong legs. Then inhale, or maybe not, we don't have to associate a breath with what we're about to do, but do turn your inner thighs up toward the ceiling, your pinky toes down toward the floor, just continuing to cultivate strength in the legs. With that, we'll squeeze in the thighs, the glutes, the center, which is what you'll hear me call your belly, because it's there to center your spine and stabilize your body. So we have all this centering strength going on. We're gonna press down through whatever is pressing into the ground, then inhale, just lift your right leg off the floor. This is Ardha Shalabhasana, half locust pose. Pressing down with the rest of your body to support the lift in your right leg. Doesn't matter how much it lifts though. Think reaching back rather than needing to reach up. Do squeeze your leg to lift your leg and keep your right thigh turning toward the ceiling. Activating some strength in this leg. We might take an inhale where we are, and then exhale, release, right leg to the ground, pressing everything down to inhale, and now lift just the left leg up. Squeezing leg to lift leg, turning your inner thigh toward the ceiling. Reaching backward rather than having too much concern or judgment around how far up the leg goes. Ardha Shalabhasana, half locust. Maybe a breath in and out. Release your leg to the earth. From here, we'll get the shoulders on line with us. So bring your arms into a trident shape, like there are goalposts on either side of your mat. So your elbows are bent and they're parallel to your shoulders. Your forearms are parallel to either edge of your mat, but they're gonna be off your mat most likely. Now look where your elbows are. We're gonna make fists in the hands and put each fist knuckles down where the elbows were. So now the elbows are pointing straight toward the sky. Fists are just off the sides of the mat. You could be resting your chin or forehead on the floor. Now on a breath in, we're gonna press down through the fists and squeeze through the shoulders. Exhale, release the pressure. Some trident presses, maybe linking them with your breath now. Inhale, squeeze and press. Exhale, release. Maybe 4 of those. Maybe 2. Last one, press, squeeze, pressing the shoulder blades onto the back plane of the body, and then release it. Bring your hands in line with your chest. Press up with your hands so that both hands and knees now come to the ground. We're in a tabletop position, arm bones and thigh bones straight up and down. Spreading wide through the fingers and angling the pointer fingers toward the front of the mat. Pressing firmly down through the pointer fingers. One way that I understand as a practice for centering or to stay centered is by being grounded, by being steady and rooted to the earth. So in this shape, we ground through the inner edge of the palm, which supports the weight in the hands without straining the wrists. So pressing down through the pointer fingers, then squeezing through the 10 finger pads. Let's bring tops of the feet to the floor for this shape so we can also press down through the toenails and stay grounded there as well. Next, inhale, stretch your chest forward, lift your tailbone up and back, squeeze your shoulders. Exhale, press your palms down, round your spine toward the sky and squeeze at your center. This is cat-cow rolling. You start to get into a rhythm, any pace. It might be linked with your breath. A chance to continue to flow. Well, really our first flow. We might have linked movement with the breath earlier, but this might be the first sense of flow. Full body movement from the center point of the spine. The spine is the central channel of energy in the body. It's where these left and right sides start to communicate and remind us of some balance, some wholeness. So here, just bringing some warmth, awareness to the spine for a few rounds. After your next exhale, bring your spine back to center. Re-ground through your pointer fingers through the tops of your feet. Then on your next inhale, you can send your right leg straight back behind you. There's a chair behind me, so I have to negotiate a little bit. You might as well. Just like we did on our bellies earlier, we squeeze the leg to lift the leg. We center the hip bone on the front of the body toward the floor, so keeping the tailbone level, which will stabilize the spine. Strong at the center, at the belly to support. You could stay right here, or remember the power in your right pointer finger. Inhale, left arm, opposite arm straight out in front of you. Squeezing your shoulder to lift your arm. This is cat balance. We hug the hand and knee on the floor toward each other. The arm and leg off the floor reach and expands. You might stay in stillness, or you might join me in movement here. We inhale and expand. Exhale, round like a cat pose, pulling knee and elbow toward each other to any degree. Inhale to expand. Exhale to contract. Maybe 3 or 4 of these with your breath. Finishing up. After your next exhale, bring your hand and knee back to the floor, and imagine you could wag your tail, just tilting your hips from side to side. And then for the second side, everything on the floor presses down, left leg comes straight back behind you. Squeezing leg to lift leg, centering your hip bone toward the floor, strengthening at your center. Stay here or strengthen through your left pointer finger and reach right arm. Opposite arm forward. Squeezing shoulder to lift the arm, cat balance. Hugging the hand and knee that are on the floor toward each other, reaching the arm and leg off the floor in expansion. Stay in stillness or add movement. Inhaling on the expansion, exhale round, knee to elbow toward each other to any degree. And you go in a rhythm, maybe that rhythm is your breath. Hugging right and left toward each other, getting the two sides of the brain communicating, evoking center for the body, brain, and beyond. Finishing up. After you exhale, hug in next, hand and knee to the floor, wag your tail, tilting from side to side. The next shape we're gonna move into is a low lunge. We're gonna end up stepping the right foot toward the top of the mat. You can take that transition however you might. Hands might come more to the left, then you could swing your right foot around. You could kind of heel toe forward or use your hand to help your foot forward. As many steps as you need. You can even start at kneeling and step forward. You might perch your fingertips down on either side of your foot. This is where if you have yoga blocks, you want to put them under your hands to make your arms longer. That's a good idea if it is for you. And I told a class that I taught a similar sequence to this one yesterday. I told them I feel like I've been underestimating the power of a good low lunge. This particular shape is one we tend to kind of breeze through in a practice, but it feels really grounding, right? We're dropping into the legs, the hips, the thighs. We're close to the earth. So we'll give ourselves a few breaths to ground in here, pressing both legs into the ground and hugging them toward each other, squaring both hip bones toward the front of the mat, pressing the chest forward to lengthen the spine. Consider softening your jaw as another centering, spacious practice. Then on your next inhale, you might join me in rising up. Hands come to your hips. Engaging your center to support your spine as you lengthen it. Hip bones still squaring forward, legs hugging toward each other. Then release your arms down beside you with your palms pointing forward. We're gonna rotate in the arms to continue to work the shoulders. So we're gonna inhale, palms forward, thumbs turn backward toward the wall behind you. Then we exhale, rotate. Palms turn backward, thumbs turn in toward your thighs. So inhale forward, exhale backward. Inhale forward, exhale backward. Notice what that does in your shoulder blades, and imagine you could start using the squeeze in your shoulders to rotate your arms. Maybe 3. One more. Next time your palms turn to face you, inhale your arms up. Shoulders keep squeezing toward the spine. Heart lifts. Anjaneyasana, the low lunge. Grounding in through the legs, expanding through the spine, the head, the arms. We'll inhale. Exhale, float your hands to the earth. One more lunge shape to go here. We're gonna twist. You may or may not join me in a twist, right? But let's turn the right toes out slightly to the right. Walk your left fingertips like half an inch forward of your shoulder and turn them slightly out to the left. Bring your right hand to your right thigh, and first, press hand into thigh, thigh into hand, centering that femur bone in your hip socket. When our joints are well placed, that's also very centering and stabilizing, especially for the nervous system. From this place, hug your legs toward each other. Find your center, your abdomen, then inhale, rotate from your center. Turn your ribs and chest towards your right leg. Squeeze your shoulders onto your spine and press your skull back. If there are any other places you want to go with this twist, right? Lifting your back foot for a quad stretch, lifting your back knee to bring in your back leg, lifting your right arm, all is fair. Take your twist and maybe take 2 breaths there. Twisting is another place we work with right and left to find center. Maybe a breath in. As you exhale, bring your right hand back to the ground. Do whatever you need to do to step your right foot and knee back. End up on your hands and knees. And now tilt both hips to the right side of your mat and pause there. Lean forward or back until the outer hip stretch becomes apparent to you. Consider sending your breath or your awareness in the direction of that outer hip as an invitation of softening or space, release, whatever you might need. Invite yourself into it. Then we'll inhale back to center. Next breath, second side. We send the left foot forward, however you need to. Again, you could bring your hands toward the right side of your mat, swing your leg around. You can heel toe it forward, use your hand to help it forward. You could come forward from a kneeling position. Once you're here, you could perch your fingertips on either side of your foot or on blocks if you want longer arms. We'll press both legs into the ground and hug them toward each other. Square both hip bones toward the front of the mat. Press the chest forward to lengthen the spine. And give ourselves some space to be in a low lunge without needing to be anywhere else yet. This almost feels like crouching to me, like staying low and close to the earth, which feels like a point of center. Now on your next breath in, you might join me in rising up, hands to hips, center, strong, to lengthen your spine. Again, I call it center rather than abdomen because it's not so much about abs. It's about having a center and stability. From that place, extend your arms down beside you, palms start forward, thumbs rotating toward the wall behind you, and we're gonna rotate the arms to work the shoulders. So we inhale from here, exhale, turn the palms to face back, thumbs turn in toward your thighs. Inhale forward, exhale back, squeezing your shoulders to move your arms. For 3, One more. Turn your palms to face in towards you and inhale your arms to the skies. Squeezing shoulders to spine. Expansion in the upper body, rooted in the low body. In Anjaneyasana, the low monkey lunge. A breath in. Exhale, fingertips to floor. One more place to go. We might twist, turning the left toes out slightly to the left. Walking the right fingertips slightly forward and turning them out to the right. Left hand to your left thigh. Start with centering. Press your hand into your thigh, thigh into your hand. Solid femur to hip connection, centering through the joints. Then find your center, right, your belly, and engage there. From there, we turn, chest, ribs to the left. Pull the shoulders toward the spine, float the skull back. Go wherever you might go with your twist. Using your internal guidance, which is also a point of center, to decide what that twist might be. Could be this one, it's a great twist. Could be back shin lifts, quad stretch of any kind. Back knee lifts if you want that back thigh a little more online. Left arm lifts if you want to bring the shoulders into it in a different way. 2 breaths wherever you go. And take an inhale. Exhale, release your left hand to the floor. Step your left foot and knee back. Find your tabletop position. On an exhale, swish your hips to the left and pause there. This time, leaning forward or backward until you find an outer hip stretch, and considering sending breath and awareness in that direction. Next inhale, come back to center. As you exhale, bring the front of your body back to the ground. Belly to the earth. As many steps as you need to get there. I'm gonna turn around just for fun. You might tilt your tailbone up, bend your elbows, squeeze your shoulders towards your spine, lower chest and chin down. You might come onto your forearms and kind of wiggle down. However you get there is correct. From this place, we're gonna do some more right-left practice with a belly down back bend series. So extend your arms straight out in front of you. So the pinky sides of your hands are pressing into the floor. Palms are facing one another. Just like we did in our early belly down series, press the tops of your feet down so your knees lift. That's a strong leg. Turn your inner thighs up, pinky toes down. Squeeze out your thighs, your glutes, your center, and really press your hip bones down. Your chest is probably already lifted, not a lot, but we will look toward the hands. Press down through your pinky fingers and imagine moving without moving, dragging them backward, plugging your shoulder blades into the socket, like you could squeeze them toward your spine like you did in your twist. From here, topsy-turvy pose, a right-left balance. On an inhale, lift your right arm. Squeeze your left leg, lift your left leg. Opposite hand and leg again. Everything that's on the ground, press it down. Everything that's off the ground, squeeze it to lift it. Inhale. Exhale, put it back down. Next breath in, lift your left arm, right leg. Squeezing limbs to lift, pressing down with everything that's on the ground. Inhale. Exhale, release it back down. Going back to the first side. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, release. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, release. Maybe twice more at your pace. Getting that right-left communication online. Evoking center. Maybe once more on each side. And then once you've released, bring your head or chin to the floor. Bend your elbows and bring your hands alongside your lower ribs so your elbows and wrists are lined up. Now that we've gone right and left, we'll take a shape from center. For Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose, it starts the same way. Knees lifting, inner thighs turning up, pinky toes turning down. Squeezing in glutes, center thighs, pressing down through the hip bones. For a moment, hover your hands off the ground, and that'll kind of invite your shoulders to squeeze more toward your spine. Keep that as you gently place your hands down. Inhale, lift your chest to any degree. Press down with what's down to lift what's lifting. Press your hands down and backward. Squeeze your elbows toward your ribs, shoulders toward your spine. Belly is still on the earth, nice and grounded as we take a breath in. And exhale. Perhaps one more inhale. Exhale, release. Heart to the earth. Line your hands up with your chest. Press back up to your tabletop. Then consider sitting back with hips to your heels, spine upright. If you have a block and you want to put it between your feet, great place to do that. If this hips to heels position is not it for your knees or feet or ankles, sit on your tailbone. What I am hoping that we do here, whichever way we choose to do it, is bring the head, shoulders, and hips in one line. This is a relatively neutral spine, a literal centering, bringing the spine to center after a back bend to allow things to settle. You might notice what you notice about your experience as things settle. You might feel the sensation in your body. You might feel a dynamic heartbeat. Backbends, heart openers, like we did in Cobra Pose, are cardiovascular. You might feel like sweat or energy in your skin. You might simply recommit to feeling your own breath and feeling whatever brings you to center here. As we allow the spine to center, we're gonna do a practice that comes from the tradition of trauma-informed yoga that I learned from one of my beloved teachers who is a trauma-informed teacher. Her name is Allison Ray Clark. You can find her on Instagram at Recovering Allison Ray. She got this from her teachers as well, so it's not that it comes from anybody, it's been passed down. This is called the 5-part self-healing hold. Holding ourselves, somatic touch, a way of centering. We'll place the hands in 5 different positions. You can do or not do this practice. You might bring your hands first to either side of your skull. Taking a breath in there, releasing the breath. Bring one hand to your forehead, one hand to the back of your skull. Breath in there, releasing the breath. The hand that's on your forehead, the hand that's on your forehead stays. The hand at the back of your skull moves to the center of your chest. Breath in there. Releasing the breath. The hand that's on your forehead now moves to your belly, your center. Breath in there. Releasing the breath. Hand that's on your heart moves to the back of your skull. Breath in there, releasing the breath. Release your hands. Sit your hips to the right. So your knees stay bent and both of your shins are now beside your left hip. Your foot or shins might be stacked in some way. We're gonna take some twisting. Now, if we twisted earlier to kind of warm, now we're twisting to unwind, but it still has that same centering intention. From here, you might inhale, reach your arms up. Use your center to turn you to the right as you exhale. Then you can float your left hand to your right thigh, right fingertips behind or beside you. Turn your ribs and chest to the right. Imagine turning your hips to the left. Strong center to support that opposite stretch in both ends of the spine. Imagine pulling your skull back to line it back up with your spine. Maybe make note of your breath moving in your torso, your ribs, your back body in a particular way as you twist. We might take a breath in here. Exhale in your twist. Then inhale, unwind your torso. Bring your fingertips to the floor and just come up through centering your hips and over to the other side. Hips are sitting to the left. Shins are beside your right hip. Your shins or feet might be stacked in some way. Then you can inhale, arms up. From center, exhale, turn your torso to the left. Maybe bring your right hand to left leg, left fingertips behind or beside you, and you turn. Ribs to the left, hips to the right. Support from center. Pulling your shoulders back, your skull back, and making note of whatever is here, maybe in your breath as a sort of tactile way to feel this twist and its effects. Maybe a breath in. Exhale in your twist. Inhale your torso to center, and this time swing your legs out in front of you. Legs extended, but soft bend in the knees or significant bend. When we give the backs of the legs more space, that connects to space in our low back. We can curve forward, lengthen the spine. Engage at your center to support that. Flex your feet. Take a breath in, reach your arms up, lengthen. As you exhale, hinge at your hips. Support from your center, curve forward at your low back as you fold over your legs to any degree. You could land your fingertips on the floor anywhere. You could hold under your thighs, outside your shins, at your feet. Knees can bend to any degree, maybe some strength in the center to help fold torso to thighs, but it does not matter how close your chest is toward your thighs. Just imagine pressing it forward to give you length and space in the back of your body. We're stretching the back body after those front body openers when we did some back bends on our belly. Now we do an opposite action to balance, which is another way of finding center. Squeeze the backs of your legs as you stretch them, but consider softening your jaw. A few breaths in Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Perhaps a breath in and an exhale. Fingertips perch on the floor if they're not there. Tuck your chin and inhale, curl your spine upright. Scoot your tailbone a little closer. It doesn't have to be like close to the top of your mat, just more like toward the center of your mat so there's space behind you. Because we're gonna reach the arms out in front, round the spine, strengthen in the center, and begin to roll the spine to the floor. Our final pose is Shavasana, effortless pose. If there are any other movements your body is asking for before you get still, please honor that. Please continue to make your practice one that is on your own terms. When that feels complete, you take the shape that allows you to be effortless. That's what Shavasana means. So classical corpse pose is an option, legs extended, feet falling open, arms down beside you, palms facing the sky. So is constructive rest pose, knees bent. Feet as wide as your yoga mat, inner knees touching. Or reclined butterfly pose, feet touching, knees extending toward either side of your mat. Or you could lie on one side, rest on your belly, sit. I'm gonna sit so I can continue to talk to you for a moment, but you find your effortless pose wherever you go to release the effort of the practice so that you can receive the effects of your practice. You might be connecting to your breath purposefully, this present moment phenomenon that might bring you back to center. Or you might be releasing that, even that effort, just letting the breath breathe itself as a way of being fully whole with no action needed. Both are centering practices. And having taken the time to show up for yourself, period, you get to receive that kind of care and intention, compassion, energy put toward yourself. And having showed up specifically to get right and left communicating, to evoke center in yourself, you get to receive from a place of center. Knowing that you are the center point in every experience you have. Not that you're the center of the universe, but your presence is at the center of everything and is a place for you to sit or rest or be as the world and life, as experience and sensation swirl around you. Receiving from center, perhaps in your body, through your nervous system, your heart, right? The heart, spiritual heart's at the center of the chest. It's the center point. Maybe feeling centered energetically, centered in spirit, which might mean like connected to some kind of source. However you receive centering, all that's left to do now is receive it. I'm going to leave you here in Shavasana with the hope that you'll take as much time to rest and center as you should want and need. You stay where you are, but I'll close with deep gratitude. Thank you for showing up to practice. Thank you for practicing with me. If this was resonant, please feel free to like, to leave a comment, to share, to subscribe. Any feedback is welcome. Just know that it is my deepest honor that you're here. Everything else is secondary, but I'm just really glad you're here. So as you continue to rest, I offer a bow to you in gratitude. I'll see you next time.